What's up, Focus fam? Happy Wednesday. It's Chan, man. Hope you guys are having a wonderful week, getting a little bit better. Let's dive right in, guys, to the market because man, oh man, have bulls fought back pretty nicely. Let's dive right in. So, kind of picking up, guys, where we last spoke. The biggest thing that I was watching in the overall market was this downside trend line here, right? If we just zoom out, this is truly the first time that we've trended down consistently. Right, we've had little trend downs, but we broke them very fast. This was the first time, call it all year, that the market's been a little bit vulnerable. And like we've seen all year, bulls are undefeated pretty much, and they really, broke out last week and really proved themselves. In my opinion, breaking back through this wedge was step one. Again, the market's not, out of mud yet until it could break here. Well, it destroyed those zones. You guys can see we were pretty much working our way right back to all-time high. What a breakout here for the bulls. So this being said, guys, there's been a lot of opportunity here the past few days. But as we can see, the market's getting a little bit extended. Not only did we bottom hard, break out, probably squeeze some shorts, but we also fired a daily squeeze, right? We're pretty much losing our compression here. Tight, 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 fires, we break out, we're pretty much at all-time high. So for the rest of the week here, the way I see the market is two things, or, granted three things, always three things. One is it'll probably finish the job to all-time high. As of right now, that's only about 25 points away, about half of ES's ATR. Not a big move at all. It might, guys, just want to kiss that before pulling back. So again, kissing it will be kind of step one. Maybe we rip right through it and we don't stop. Anything's possible, guys. This year we saw a lot of times where we would rally to all-time high, break it, and just keep going. So I'm not here to, predict if the market's going to stop, but we need to be ready at all-time high. Again, I think if it can kiss that and then start to take a little bit of a break, that would be healthy, but it might just break through it. And how about you guys? I don't want to sit my hands and watch. So we want to be prepared. So if it does start to break down here, I want to focus, guys, on a few levels. Obviously reversion to the mean pops into mind, but I really want to focus on the 50-day simple as well. The next day or two here, this daily 21 is going to grind up right towards that 50. So we're going to have some really nice support down below here. But before we can even consider, going to the 50, we got to break back below the top of this base, right? And just for conversation's sake here, let's call it, right, 44.83. So again, I think, guys, we're either just going to keep going and break all-time high, or we're going to just kind of consolidate here at the highs and hang above this 83 level. And if that happens, I'll be looking for intraday squeezes. Give us something like an hourly, 2-hour, 4-hour, something where the market can at least take a break and start to push higher. Or if it does break that 83, then we're probably looking, guys, at a healthy pullback, which again, I want to target the 50-day simple and the daily 21 right around this vicinity. Call it 44.36 range. That'd be a nice, healthy, pretty much an ATR pullback, a little bit over an ATR right now. But that would be really nice reset here for the market. And again, guys, right now, when we were here, we wanted to flip, our sentiment to a little bit bearish, but now we're completely breaking out. So we definitely want to shift that mindset back to being bullish, right? Sometimes you got to switch it quick. Nothing wrong with that. Always be open-minded and flexible. But why I want to bring this up is because remember, we can short these highs, but understand that every pullback until we break the 50 is just setting up a really good dip buy, just like we're very vulnerable. And every pop sets up a better short, right? Pop and short. When we're strong, we focus on buying dips. So I am open-minded here to potentially fading the market if we do roll off the highs, for one reason. We're seeing a little bit of strong rotation, right? Tech had a red day here on Wednesday. YM tried to lead with the Russell. ES kind of grinded higher. So if that does kind of translate into more rotation or, even more selling, tech is definitely a heavy sector that could drag the market a bit and again, give us a pullback. So I wouldn't mind shorting the market from these levels, but it's not like here, guys. We can short it, but as we near key levels, we want to look ready to flip the script and buy those dips. So that's how I'm kind of seeing the market here this week. Again, I think we can continue to just push through all-time high. We're going to take a little bit of break here and squeeze. Or if we do break 83-ish, looking for a healthy pullback. looking for the 50 and the daily 21 first. And if it does break that, I want to focus on this downside trend line, right? The higher lows, the higher lows, the higher lows. We might go test that eventually, but one step at a time here. Look at the overall market. We had a 2-hour squeeze, or an hourly squeeze rather, into today, and it didn't really fire the best. So, if we take a look at it, it was a pretty decent fire, but it popped hard and then did absolutely nothing because there was rotation all day. So again, guys, just to wrap up our conversation here, be patient on the overall market. It's been amazing moves, amazing continuations, run, 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 run. We definitely could see a little bit of sideways, choppy action here at the highs. Because again, we're waiting for the market to kind of make up its mind. Can we get a nice breakthrough all-time high? Can we get a nice fade back down to zone? Does that hold for an even better dip buy? Or does that break down to the reversion to the mean? Does this become a good dip buy? Or does it keep breaking down to that trend line? And then we look to buy the dip. Either way, guys, you can play it up, you can play it down. We just always want to understand kind of the bigger picture, sentiment and thesis that's happening here. And that's personally how I am seeing it. We take a look at technology. This one's done a really good job of bottoming first. And now they're kind of becoming the one that's getting a little bit tired first. They were the index that held up the best and really pushed us higher here the last few sessions. But if you look at the daily chart, just like ES, getting up towards highs and kind of stopping, right before it, still has a little bit of resistance to deal with. One thing we also want to note is that we are getting into the midst of tech earnings, right? Wouldn't it be shocking to see a little bit of, quietness from tech and maybe even some selling off, right? Some much needed profit taking into earnings. That's never a big deal. So again, we want to really watch this one closely. And if we just keep it simple, want to watch the 50-day. Let me throw that on here. Here we go. So again, guys, I think at most we're going to pull back to the 50. And if we hold there, that could be a really good dip buy for technology. Or if it starts to drag to the 50, we need to really understand if they're buying YM or if they're starting to sell everything. That's going to be our big dictator here. And then again, once it reaches the 50, do they buy it right back? Or does it start to break the 50 first? That'll kind of be our sign. But again, just like the market, it's rallied hard. Could definitely use a little bit of a break and a little bit of a squeeze. So if we look in here, we are starting a 2-hour squeeze, which as of right now is pretty nice. We have a really good point of control level here of 15,316, which we reached nicely here today and held. So if we just continue to squeeze, under these levels, we could continue our journey up towards that 557, or we can go back down towards that 50. Really let this squeeze guide you. Want to keep a close eye on technology. And then if we look at YM, oh wow, I didn't see this till now. They guys have just been coiling under all-time high, firing a nice, beautiful daily squeeze and seeing strong rotation. And they just kissed all-time high. Let's see, the high of this candle was 541, all-time high is 547. So pretty close. Again, just like the market, guys, want to keep an eye on this, where we're either going to break through these highs with YM and ES, or we're going to start to pull back a bit with technology. We really want to focus on these all-time high levels, or if it breaks through it, we can rally. If it pulls back, want to target that 50-day simple to see if it's a line in the sand and we head back higher, one step at a time. Let's dive into VIX before I share my focus list for the rest of the week. Because if we take a look, we are at some huge levels on VIX, as always. So if you guys have been following me recently and using my VIX levels, they've done a great job of keeping us in check. Where a few weeks ago, we were kind of deciding, do we break through 25 and market dumps, or do we break back below 20 and the market rallies? We went the downside route, AKA market rallies. We gave from 20 to 18. Nice. We start, guys, back at 18, back at 20, can't break through it. And then eventually, we break 18, and our next level is 16. Market continues higher. To start the week here, VIX gapped up to 18, and the market pulled back to the 50, and it held, and VIX went right back lower. Held 16, but instead, like last time, it broke it, and it went to our next level here, guys, of about 15.19, and the market continues higher. So where are these levels from? Right, if you look at a daily chart, guys, you can very easily find big inflection points on VIX, or last time that we lingered around these 15 to 16 levels, right? You can just call it a zone here if you'd like. Right, around this zone for the past handful of months, call it, halfway through the year, this is where the market starts to roll off of the highs, right? Especially recently around that 15.9. This last time we hit 15.9 was on 813. If we go to a daily chart here and we look at 813, let's go find 813, right? We rolled off of those highs. Every time, guys, VIX gets those levels, we roll off of the highs. So obviously, now that we're here again, we want to pay attention to VIX to see, does it continue to the next big level, which is 14? And if that's the case, market's going to break that all-time high. Where if it does continue to hold here and get back through 16, the market's going to be giving a nice little pullback. How far? We'll see. If we stay under 18, very, very bullish. But if we start to break back into 18, the sell-off's going to get a little bit more tricky. So really watch these VIX levels, guys. With the market all-time high and VIX at, the quote-unquote turning point here, I wouldn't be shocked to see the market roll over a little bit and give us a healthy pullback. But again, it could rip through here and go to 14, and the market's going to rip through all-time high. Very, simple compasses here, guys. We don't need to keep a bias. We just need to read and react and make sure we're watching the proper things, which is what I'm laying out in front of you. So that being said, guys, let's dive into a few good setups here for the rest of the week. And believe it or not, one of them is Pinterest. So it's not a chart, guys, or a stock rather, that I look at too often, but anything that has a massive catalyst, aka really big news, massive move, all of that good stuff, we want to kind of prioritize it here. And it's got a massive gap to fill on the daily chart. And it's starting to fire a little bit of a daily squeeze. Got a lot of things going for this one. So you might be asking why to do this, right? This isn't just a normal day. And you're absolutely right. PayPal came out today and is in talks of actually buying Pinterest. Very, very interesting to me. Now, again, maybe these are just rumors. Maybe, they're just throwing it out there. But the way that price action moved today, looks like it's real. Technically the acquirer, if, PayPal bought Pinterest, would go down, and they dumped on that news. And obviously Pinterest should benefit, and they exploded. So whether this is speculation or not, I'm not sure, until they actually do the transaction. We're not going to know, but I would think that the fact that they're in talks of it, they went public with it, could be a bullish case here. And personally, just to speak fundamentals, I think PayPal buying Pinterest would be very, very interesting. If you're familiar with the platform, it's just a big media platform, a lot of inspiration, people post products, things like that. To my knowledge, you can't purchase off of Pinterest. So if PayPal could kind of bring in that, back-end POS system to transact within Pinterest, this could be a massive partnership for both of them. Again, just speculating here, but it's a really big catalyst. So I want to keep it basic, guys, and focus on some, simple key levels. One is that 60.9, that gap fill trigger. And obviously we want to focus on 66 from today's price action. And then the gap fill above to 70.35. All right, we got our fill trigger here. We got our gap fill above. We got 66 here, which is pretty much this key level. All right, I love it. We could even get rid of 66 and just use that 66.17. Stopped right before this big, big inflection point. So again, we want to be careful on this one, guys, because it could be, a sell the news type thing. Who knows? But as of right now, it's looking really bullish. Had a monster day today, closing up, 12%. So again, want to keep it simple. If it keeps holding above 60.9, want to look for a pushback up towards 66. And if it can eventually break 66, we are looking to fill that gap. Pinterest obviously doesn't have a huge ATR, 2-point ATR. And today moved quite a bit, right? Popped out 10 points. So our target from here, our first target's, pretty much an ATR, about $3 away. Nothing too crazy. But filling that gap is about 8 points. Also nothing too crazy if they like this news. We saw monster volume today. Huge, huge, huge. So again, one problem with this, guys, is they did spike the crap out of, Pinterest options. So if we take a look here, IV did come down a little bit, which is always nice, but it was very, very spiked today. So you want to be careful trading these options, treat them as lottos. They're not really pricing them super, super great here. You're not going to get a huge risk reward, but I do want to look to potentially play it. So again, I want to go too far out here. I'd focus on anything right around the money. 65 is a good strike, gets you back up to 66, anything in this range. But again, I would recommend sizing down, guys, being smart with it, because it could be something that doesn't move and then the premiums just get destroyed, right? They got destroyed today. After the news, pretty much every strike was just getting sold because the premium went from, worthless to things were at 1 cent and went to $2. They quickly went back to 10 cents. So be careful here. But I really, really want to keep an eye on this one. Again, hold 60, 66, 70 for the gap fill. Next setup here, guys, is NVAX. And this is an interesting one here. So they had some really, really bad news overnight, and they gapped down 30%. Long story short, news was that they can't really fulfill their orders. They have problems with supply, fulfillment, all that fun stuff when it comes to their VAX. And they gapped down 30%. Then during the session, NVAX came out and tried to defend that statement and, say that they have partnerships, all of this in place to continue to successfully, fulfill their orders. So I don't know what's real. Unfortunately, bios can be a little manipulated. And it seems like, not really sure if this is true or not, right? It's really hard to tell, but I do want to keep an eye on it, right? Because we got a really good setup in play here, regardless if it's true or not. We just want to follow price action. So on the upside, we have a very clear gap to fill, right? Gap down a ton and tried to fill it today and got stuffed. So I want to keep an eye if it can continue its little journey from today's HOD to that gap fill. So we're talking from, right, 147 to 160, a big move here. Or is this just going to fall off a cliff, right? That's very susceptible to happening. And we're going to build upon this a little bit. But again, guys, there's a little uncertainty in the air. I don't know if it's true. I don't know what to believe. I don't know if big money feels the same as me, but we're going to be, informed by price action. So here's a few levels I want to keep an eye on. One is this 136 level from this morning, right? The pre-market action. We broke through that today, right? We made that new 147 level, and then we closed underneath 136. Not the best sign here for NVAX. So if they do stay under 136, guys, want to also keep an eye on 130. Or if it starts to break down these levels, then it's most likely going to go and test those lows. All right, can also keep an eye on this 120-ish level as well, today's actual low of day. But I think if it does start to crumble here again, we're right back towards this 115, 106 range. And if for some reason this thing just gets beat up, I wouldn't be shocked if it goes to 80, as extreme as that might sound. So again, this might just go sideways while they figure out what's true or not. It might, just continue to get destroyed. Today was just, a day of covering, maybe a little buying, and then closed at some key levels. Still down about 15%. Not a good day. So again, I don't know what's real. I am personally in puts, so I bought puts on the news, come to find out, and VAX defended it, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to continue to look for both sides here. Or if it does get back with 136, it could start to work its way back and then fill that gap. Nice trade. Or again, if it stays underneath and it starts to break down again, it could be right back to 120, 115. So I want to keep an eye on it. So if you look, guys, we can play weeklies as well. I added next week's puts, which again are kind of, going against me right now. But if you do like a move on it, consider giving yourself some time. But if it does, react this week, want to focus on, let's see here. The 150s are a nice strike to the upside if it gets back to that 136. It's getting you back up to that 147 level. Those 150s could be a nice strike. Had some good volume today. And can even play closer, right? Pretty cheap name, so you don't got to go too far out. A lot of good strikes here. And then to the downside, if it does break that 136 and break that 129, we can keep an eye, guys, on pretty much a handful of strikes here. 125s, 130s, anything that gets you back towards this range. So there's a lot of good strikes. And again, kind of like Pinterest here, the IV is through the roof, especially on weeklies. So be careful. They've actually spiked it on everything. So this is going to be a tricky one, right? It's a bio stock. They're always tricky. But volatility can be fun, especially if you time it right. Just make sure you guys, treat this one appropriately. Don't go too heavy, don't get too ballsy. Be smart with it. But I think, again, it could fill the gap, or it could keep bleeding, or it could do nothing. One of three options will always happen. And then one more setup here, guys, is actually Moderna. And this is going to build upon our NVAX thesis. So shortly before I hopped on the mic here, the FDA cleared COVID boosters for J&J and Moderna and allows a little mix and match. Oh my. But as we can clearly see, nice spike here after hours for Moderna. Last night, they actually gapped up on the news that NVAX, the bad news NVAX had, because if they can't fulfill orders, somebody has to, right? There's not many people that make vaccines, only a few, one of them being Moderna. So money rotated into Moderna. But then today it got absolutely stuffed and it didn't really do much. So they actually, didn't really rotate into Moderna. They brought NVAX back up. And they actually did a little bit of decent buying in BNTX, but kind of the same price action here. So again, if we go back to Moderna, and BNTX also benefits from this news, which is why they're spiking. What I want to focus on, guys, is seeing, do we see a continued rotation, into one vaccine out of the other? So again, if this is good Moderna news, this is real news, it shouldn't be fake. FDA clears booster, thumbs up. Let's see if this causes a rally. It's causing a nice spike right now, up about, call it $5-6, almost 2%. Nice pop. So I want to watch, guys, again, does this one explode? And does money come out of NVAX, right? Do they sell one and buy the other? If we take a look at NVAX, it is no reaction here, positively after hours. It doesn't matter. It's actually going lower on the news. So let's see if this leads to a breakdown and a rotation into the other VAX names. And at that point, I'll be all over Moderna, my favorite. So if we look here, taking a few days off, which is awesome because it's starting to give us some squeezes. We have a very low compression 4 hours. We can just ignore that. Let's go to 2 hour here. There's the money maker. So just to clear this up, guys, we got a really beautiful 2 hour squeeze, right? Clean, clean, clean. Now, if we throw in these levels again, getting through this 344 to 350 is going to be hard. We've been failing multiple times here, right? We failed once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5, 6, call it 7 here today. If we can start to break through that, we get a gap filled trigger above. So what I mean by that, if you look at the daily chart here, right, we get a beautiful gap to the upside. So let's see if Moderna, guys, can clear this range and work its way up to that gap filled trigger. I'm not saying it's going to fill the gap in one day. That's just beyond average move, but it could start the journey, which is something I want to be a part of. So let's see if this 2 hour squeeze starts to release, if this news holds, if we see bullish reaction. And again, guys, be careful on these stocks because they're very volatile, for lack of a better term. But if it can break 338 and hold it, right? Couldn't do that today, failed it yesterday and rejected it. If it can hold 338, then it can start that mission. And again, 344, 349 are very hard levels, but through it, you should see a clear shot towards 360. So that being said, let's look at a few options here on Moderna. We'll have to see what these open up at because it is spiking, but I want to keep an eye, on the 350s, 345s, 350s, 360s would probably be too cheap. So again, wrapping up the week here, stay right around this, at the money, slightly OTM. Those are going to be your best strikes to keep an eye on. And then real quick here, guys, before I wrap up, just want to look at a few names that reported earnings. One of them being Tesla. So if you look at Tesla here, they did a huge rally into earnings and then chopped, right? You guys can take a look at the numbers. They had pretty decent numbers, but the earning reaction here is just nothing. So I want to be very careful in this one. Personally, whenever a name goes down in earnings, I like to give it a little bit of time to figure itself out. But keep an eye on this one, guys. If they do start to sell it off, if it has any weight in the market, right? It did join the S&P, so we'll see if it can kind of warrant a pullback. Just keep an eye on Tesla here. And then another name is LRCX, Lam Research, and they didn't really report the best earnings and dropped really hard and are trying to come back here. So this is a name that's going to impact the chip sector. ASML reported this morning and they got crushed. LRCX most likely should have gotten crushed as well, and they did. So just be careful, guys, playing, chips right now. And again, this could help start a little bit of a pullback for the market if they start to sell off the semis. If we take a look at NVIDIA, it's down slightly here on that, earning report. AMD pretty much, call it flat, but just something to keep an eye on, guys. End of week, we got a few more earnings. We got Snapchat on the way. We got Chipotle on the way. You can keep an eye on those, but other than that, those are my thoughts, guys. So we covered the indexes, patient near all-time high. We talked about VIX levels, right? Be careful at these levels. This is typically where we roll over. No bias, just got to use information. Talked about Pinterest, NVAX, Moderna, a lot of good news, a lot of good catalysts. Let's see what happens. But thanks again, guys, as always, for listening and watching. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Go sign up for the newsletter in the comment section, or the description rather. And we'll keep getting better daily. But appreciate you guys. Be safe, trade well, and I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, Focus Chan here with Simpler Trading. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss anything that we do. And if you want to see us trade our money live in real time, go to simplertrading.com and you can sign up for more. But happy trading, guys. Stay focused. I'll talk to you in the next video.